Well, as you can see here, this is where I'm going to put my window. And it might be kind of hard to see because it's at an odd place. But this is an old barn. This barn is from the 1900s, early 1900s. So we'll deal with it, I guess. All right, well, what I did here was I made this simple frame, and as you can see, I put in screws on the ends, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the window opening and attach it with screws, and then I'm going to make sure that these 4 points are square. It's not real important right now because you got to put it in the opening first. I got 54 3/4 plus. And a little bit shy of 54 3/4. But like I say, when I get it in the opening and start screwing it down and fastening it down, I'm going to have to make sure that these edges right here on this part of it, these are the shorter part of the frame, and I'm going to make sure that these are plumb and level, and that this is level, and it's going to sit like this in the opening. The opening I showed in the previous clip, and I made this out of maple, so it's going to be plenty strong, and I'll give you some dimensions here. These boards are about 1 inch thick. This one is slightly less, but it's not going to matter because it's just a barn, and I'm not too worried about the look of it. So okay, well, this kind of reminds me of when I used to do woodworking back in the 80s, and the reason is because I used tools like this. I used tools like this back then, before cordless tools became popular. So I've got 2 drill motors, and I'm going to put this frame up like I told you before. First of all, you got to have a 2-foot level. This is a 2-foot level right here. Put it up here. Make sure it's plumb. Then screw it down. And then I also have a 4-foot level. Most carpenters have 2 or 3 levels, maybe more than that. But this one is not quite long enough for this frame, but it'll work. I've got it pretty close to being plumb and level. Then you have 2 planes. You check it for level here, which it is. I don't know if you can see that bubble there. Right there. And then it's got to be level this way too. I'm just going to put a couple of screws in to hold it temporarily. I don't have a lot of fancy tools because I don't need them. I don't have a lot of fancy tools because you don't need them. I'm just going to put this up temporarily for now. I also started doing this before well, I forgot what I was going to say, but there were mostly written books in this old house if I wanted to study on how to do something. So I've got it up there temporarily. And this space right here, between here and here, that's going to be filled in later. And it's getting too cold out here. I'll have to do this later. Well, in building a shelf, I decided on doing this right in the middle of my window project because it's very cold out. I'm going to take this board here. These are just scraps I had left over from another project. So I'm going to take this board here, split it in half, and the way you do that is take your tape and measure it in a couple places. So I got about 7/7/8. And the problem is this is wider here, so half of 7 3/4, 3 1/2, and 3/8. So 3 1/2 plus 3/8. Do that. Make a mark on it. then I'll do that on the table saw. Three and 7/8. I guess that's not right. Let's see here. 7 and 5/8. So 3.5 plus 5/16. So about 3 1/4, 3 3/4. Yeah. And it's not going to be exact because what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make sides on here to try to use up this plywood chipboard actually. So we'll cut it.